Welcome, everyone, to the second episode of the Madhouse Podcast. I'm Ryan Byrne. I'm joined with my co-host, Connor Graham.
What's up, everybody?
And our first guest, Christopher Siragusa.
Hello.
And our last guest, but not least, Ian Figueroa.
Hello.
So, what have you guys been up to?
I mean, if I'm honest, starting a podcast is kind of a big thing. So,
Yeah.
you kind of after the first episode, you kind of have that on your mind, and you're thinking like, oh, what can I do next? What can I, do to make this better? What kind of topics, whatever. And the sad thing is that over a week of waiting to come back and do another one, I haven't thought of shit.
Yeah, I've just been continuing doing my schoolwork. I did some PlayStation controller cosmetic surgery. One of my shells cracked, so I merged two together, and now it looks pretty swanky. And probably the biggest part was Mr. Certain Burn gave me his gaming PC, and we've been spending all day today setting it up.
All right, let me try and put some, backstory to it, so it's not just, me giving it. So, I had done a build at the start of last year and swapped to Ryzen. So, when I did that, I had this whole other build I was using that was a 970 and, i5 and everything. And I had gutted that of a power supply and the hard drives. So, he ended up picking up the parts that I needed. And the way that we went through you building it was over Discord.
Yeah, Discord video call.
Which is not the best quality, to say the least.
To say scuffed was an understatement.
How would
And
you say
somehow it worked.
that?
You got it to work.
Yeah, the only thing I need is a Wi-Fi adapter.
So, having, now experienced some of building a computer.
Never again. Never
again?
Never.
That was so annoying. It was kind of easy since, it was common sense. Some of these prongs go into here, you can count the prongs. But it was just annoying because, it's such a small space and I got, fat hands. So I couldn't get around many things.
I mean, if I'm honest, I don't think I'd ever build a computer. The rig I have, I only bought pre-bought rigs, pre-made rigs before this, and definitely not worth it. So instead, I had a friend show up and help me buy all the parts or whatever. He took me out to the store. We bought all the parts together, and he just came to my house, and Ian was there too, and they spent the whole day just building my computer for me while I sat there on YouTube.
Yeah.
And so I can't really say that I've put in any kind of effort building a computer, but I don't think I'd ever want to.
Yeah,
I
I
don't know.
spent too much time.
I find it therapeutic.
4 hours, Ryan?
Yeah. 4 hours sounds right.
I mean, sitting there watching you two go back and forth trying to figure that shit out was like watching an episode of The Three Stooges.
It definitely felt like it at times, me being yeah, I need to have you angle the camera so I can see this pin.
Hey, I mean, I have to say, most times you only had to ask once to get a better look.
It was a vicious cycle though of they would talk tech mumbo jumbo, Chris would mess it up, Ryan would tell him to fix it, Ian and I would say some stupid shit, and Chris would threaten to kill us.
Especially the last part.
And it was a 4-hour process of that where Chris would say something about sticking a prong somewhere, and me and Ian would go, "Oh yeah, stick the prong," and Chris would be like, "I will literally kill you. Shut up."
Because I was trying to listen to Ryan, but all I hear was your moaning in my ears.
I
He
do
presents an
want
opportunity. We're gonna do it.
to say this now because we haven't addressed it. The format here has changed.
Of course.
Being able to see everyone that's on the podcast now.
I mean, the first trial run, whatever, sitting there, it was good until the audio equipment shit out and we couldn't talk or do anything anymore. And we talked it over, And this just seemed like a better format. Just if people wanted to see what we looked like, see our reactions, how like which is anything really. If they wanted to see my very shitty katana collection because I'm a mall ninja,
Or my
know?
broken ass wall because I am a poor man who is under the poverty line.
or Ian doing a puzzle with his girlfriend while filming a
Yeah.
podcast.
Yeah.
With sunflowers in the background.
Now
Ian
that
goes hard.
so I feel like we should talk about that, Ian.
Yeah.
We put out the bulletin last week, and you were like, yeah, no, I'm down, guys, that sounds fun. I'll gladly be there.
100%.
And Ryan reminded everyone last night, and I'm sorry, what did you say when we had asked you if you wanted to join? My hard
Right.
drive's crapping out.
So you guys asked me if I was ready for 8 o'clock or whatever, and I was like, oh, my hard drive kind of shit the bed, which to be fair it was, but I was not home when I said my hard drive had failed, so yeah.
So now
So
you're
now
just
I'm here. We're
sitting doing a puzzle.
doing puzzles.
We'll
we-
get puzzle updates.
I
Yeah.
mean, to be fair, how many of us can say we have a girlfriend to visit during this quarantine?
I mean,
The camera's flipped.
hand.
Good question, Chris.
So that is a pretty good segue into interesting stuff.
let
you
us
mean?
know, Ryan. Let us know. And since I'm the only one
So quarantine ended up being very different from what I expected. I expected it to be a lot more just like hanging out, working on like projects. But at one point, I ended up meeting someone in like. So, actually meeting someone during quarantine is way different from like regular. Like, it instead is like, yo, let's hop on a video call and like do that however often. And that ended up leading to me meeting someone, which now I have a girlfriend, so
Fuck.
Ooh.
and
that's been pretty good.
I found it really funny too because it was a couple nights ago, and we're all sitting down playing a game, and Ryan's like, "Oh, yeah, I gotta leave," and didn't give any kind of context. Or I thought he had like a business meeting, some shit to do, but I get a DM at like 1 a.m.
Yeah.
and like, hey, I didn't really get a good point to saying this, but I kind of have a girlfriend now, and I felt like a father, proud of my son, and I just said, yeah, like, hey man, that's really cool. I'm gonna go the fuck to sleep now because it's 1 a.m. But
So
I'm really proud of you, man. Congrats to you and your.
Yeah, I'm very proud of you too.
But
so
I'm very interested to see, give us a little insight of what it's like meeting someone in quarantine. Like how did this whole come to fruition, and what are the major differences, I guess, between a natural kind of meeting?
So, all right, I want to say one thing first. So there was one person who knew before you. You're the second person that found out.
Oh.
And it's only... I was going to try and tell everyone at the same time, but when it first happened, only he was online, and that's Chris.
Hey.
Wow.
So... that's why the other day, when we were, like, hanging out and stuff, that we were like, yeah, we were on till, like, at 3 or 4 in the morning just, like, chatting and stuff. And that was true. Like, we initially were just, like, hanging out, chilling. And I was like, dude, I need to tell someone about this.
And
So,
I kept it a secret the whole goddamn time.
Well, no, I look like a big idiot, so thanks.
no,
It's
no.
okay. I'm only
It's-
finding out now, so.
So, you three are the only people that had now heard of this.
Until
No
this,
one else knows.
until this gets published, and then
Yeah.
in which case anyone who listens, surprise.
Now I'm outed.
Oh,
but-
and Sean.
Okay, so we have
Eileen?
2 people with girlfriends. One with a crazy girl and one with a hand.
2 hands.
So I want to go
Infinite
back to what you were
possibilities.
saying, Connor.
Okay. Yeah, please do.
So I used like Tinder, Bumble, stuff like that, just like hanging out, seeing like who I'd meet on there. And I never really expected to meet someone that I'd actually want to be in a relationship with until like I'd never expected that to happen at all during this. And I still am like surprised that happened. But like it's weird because in the back of my mind I have to keep thinking and being like I might not actually see this person like in person for a year. And like having to think about that and like understand it, I think will be interesting.
I mean, think of it this way: if y'all end up working out, getting married one day, it's gonna be a great story.
Yeah.
Grandpa, how did you meet Grandma? Well, there was a thing called Bumble, and there was a pandemic, and I talked to her for a full year over the interwebs before I even met her.
It's definitely different from what I really am like used to with that. Like normally you're like, yo, like you text someone for a bit and then like on those apps, I guess, and then you're like, yo, want to like meet up, like go out somewhere. But I am sitting there now and I'm like, well, we can't do that right now. We're kind of just like, okay, we're going to hang out and like talk and do whatever, and like that's just going to have to be how it is for a while.
I mean, it's really interesting to think about, though, because if things do work out with you and this person and everything like that, it's going to be a pretty weird sensation, I'd imagine, to talk to this person for so long and get to know so much about this person and then actually get to meet them like a couple months to a year later. Like
Yeah.
you'll know, like instead of the whole awkward first date, first meeting, trying to learn about this person, it's you've known about this person and know a lot about this person and you're just getting to meet them physically. Like that's got to be interesting.
Oh
And,
yeah.
Mhm.
But
I mean,
go ahead.
It's so weird to think about, that, because there's no way you're the only person who's experienced something like that, who's going to experience something like that. And depending on how long this whole pandemic and everything lasts, if you think about it, this is going to be, the huge spike of internet, boyfriend, girlfriends, or couples, period. I shouldn't even say that. But like, it's just going to be so interesting to see how many people are gonna have that whole typical story of mom, how'd you meet dad? And it's like, oh, we were trapped in pandemic and we had an Animal Crossing date for a couple months.
We sat on the same bench in Animal Crossing, and rest is history there.
The minute she said that she had apples on her island, I knew it was fate.
I knew she was the one.
She wanted Tom Nook dead just as much as anyone else.
I mean, who doesn't? if you like Nook and you don't want Nook dead, we have a problem.
Yeah. But so something cool that I saw today, which I want to talk about, is so Ubisoft actually ended up doing a really cool reveal for their new Assassin's Creed, where they had a live stream going on Twitter, it was, and the entire, I think it was like 3 or 4 hours they ran it. And it was just like one of their artists making artwork for the new game. And it started off in like they were working on the background and stuff, like building it up, but just like had music going. And the music was not typical Assassin's Creed music. It sounded more of something like out of God of War almost. So people started speculating like, hey, what is the like time period this is going to be set in? And it ended up being they found a registration for a trademark for a website that was Assassin's Creed Valhalla. And it ended up, the stream ended, and I think they like showed it and now have a stream set for tomorrow actually showing like what they're going to be talking about. But it looks like we're getting Vikings for Assassin's Creed, which I'm hyped as fuck for.
I mean, as someone who's never really gotten into the franchise or experienced the franchise period, like I know bits and bobs. I've played multiplayer of Assassin's Creed Black Flag. Like that's all I did
Yeah.
because weird enough, my PC rig at the time couldn't run the single player.
That
The
game
single
was
player
big.
was too intense, like graphically and everything, but multiplayer worked fine. So I would just play multiplayer. And so that's my only experience is Assassin's Creed Black Flag multiplayer. So I've only seen the pirate side of it. I've never seen like the base side or like anything like that. But Viking seems like it'd be really cool.
So
Like jumping around in like Viking boats and stuff. Like I'd imagine there's gonna be some kind of huge great axe bullshit. Like it seems really cool.
maybe it's just me, but I feel like games go through periods where like one style or like one thing in games is the key thing that like everyone's doing. For a while it was zombies, and then it was like, hey, everyone gets a bow. You want Far Cry where you have a bow for some reason? And then like I feel like Horizon happened, that ended and stuff.
Oh my god.
But I think Vikings is where they're going now with like God of War came out, that kind of started it off, and then like some indie games came out with Vikings and stuff, and now Assassin's Creed.
I mean, like shit, dude. Even Fortnite had, a Viking area and like a bunch of
I
Vikings.
forgot about
A
that.
Viking battle pass. Like even Fortnite jumped the boat on like the whole Viking theme, and that's cool as hell.
Yeah.
It's going to be very interesting seeing like. So I'm curious how they're going to handle announcements for this, and like. So they said they were doing the stream tomorrow and stuff. Do you guys see them doing, like, all these companies doing streams like that to talk about new games? Because, like, E3's canceled for this year. Like, we're not going to get a big event any time, like, soon, so...
I don't know, because I've never really paid attention to new games really coming out or like E3. Like the only time I listen to E3 is I've been tracking a game for a while to see if it's coming out. But I feel like they would be just to keep their names above the water so they can keep the public interested. It'd be the smartest choice.
I feel like it kind of with everything that's happening and with like there being no closing time frame on this happening, I feel like it's kind of like a sink or swim sink or swim kind of situation where if game companies want news to get out and like want new games to be announced and like things like that, it's kind of gotta be where it's online conferences or like Twitter live streams or Instagram live streams or anything, just live streams period, because there's not going to be those conventions anymore. There's not going to be huge gatherings of people who are sitting there, waiting to hear about the new Assassin's Creed game or new, anything really. It's like, this is the era of online everything, online dating, online gaming, online, money making even, because like all the live streamers are living it up right now because nothing's happened to them. They didn't change their schedule or anything. Blevin's still waking up and streaming on Mixer, making his money. Everybody, like the streamer life has not changed while everything else has. So I feel like it fits perfectly into line and everything that game companies and announcements and everything like that are doing the same thing and they're following the same path.
I could see companies that have done it in the past, like Nintendo stopped doing E3 a while back and have just gotten towards like, hey, we're going to stream our announcement at the same time as everyone else, but they also were doing like Nintendo Directs and stuff, and I could see like them being like, yeah, this is fine, like they'll probably have a good like group of announcements and stuff, but like I don't know how like other companies will handle it.
It's definitely depending on the company, I'd say. There's some companies I could see not adjusting well. Nintendo already had the head start on it with Nintendo Direct and everything like that, so they're probably going to do just fine. Ubisoft took the interesting approach with the Twitter live stream of like art and everything like that, and I think that's kind of cool. But like, there's some companies that I don't think are going to be able to make or break that. And like most of it's indie companies, but indie companies have always kind of had a hard time with advertising and everything like that.
So, you had mentioned about how streamers, like, they haven't had a lot of stuff change.
Mm.
I think I might disagree with that just because of the stuff that's happened with Valorant coming out.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, that's entirely fair.
Like, that game has blown up Twitch to, like, everyone's getting record numbers right now. Like, the people on there are, like, watching, trying to get drops and stuff. And, like, I want to talk about that game a lot, but I'm pretty sure I'm the only one that's, like, played it and, like, had interest in it.
I've watched you play a little bit. And I could see where you're coming from, like Valorant making a huge wave, because it absolutely is. But then again, I could also hit you with the whole, there's a lot of people just AFK farming keys, because that's what,
yeah.
that you even were like, yeah, I just kind of set it up on my monitor and left it there. Like, you don't even have to pay attention to it, whatever. And I'm like, yeah, I could do that. Mark was doing that for a while. I personally don't have any interest in that type of game. It just doesn't really interest me at all, but I could see where the appeal is, and absolutely, like, watching you play it, I was like, yeah, I could see where this could be fun. I could see why people enjoy the same like that.
So, having a conversation with my brother about it, he was trying to say how it was, like, really similar to CSGO, and it definitely is. The whole idea of, like, hey, this is just, like, plant defuse and, like, watching corners and stuff. But I was talking to him, and I was like, this is one of the first games in probably, like, a year and a half where when I played Fortnite, I played it to a point where I got, like, semi-professional level, and it feels like I'm at a point where it's, like, breath of fresh air with Valorant, where I'm doing the same stuff that I did when I first was getting into Fortnite, where I was, like, practicing my aiming and, like, learning the techniques and, like, how the game worked and, like, tweaking sensitivities and stuff. And, like, I see a lot of people that have been getting into Valorant and then, like, dropping off because they're realizing quickly that it's, like, it's not Overwatch. Like, this is closer to CSGO than it is to Overwatch, just because the characters still have abilities and stuff. Like, it adds a dynamic to it, but it doesn't feel like it's, like, a blatant copy to it.
Mm.
But they just put out an update today, I want to say, where they were going to put out ranked mode and everything, which I think is going to be a very good change to that game, because there was a lot of people who, like, there's no way I can compete with someone that's like, yeah, I have, like, 2,000 hours in CSGO, and I'm just like, yeah, I played it, like, 3 times.
I mean, that makes sense, and it's cool that they finally put in the ranks, so, like, you know, the people who want to sweat while they play the game can go there, and the people who just want to play the game can go to casual. You know, and that, I guess that's really interesting, because me and you, we did a joint stream a little bit ago where we started playing Smash Brothers.
Oh, man.
And it was hilarious for that, because we're sitting there playing the game, we have items on and, like, stage hazards, and we're just playing because none of us take that game seriously.
Nope.
And we're just sitting there trying to have fun. And the amount of people that came in and were like, you guys have items on? You guys have stage what the fuck
what
is
are you
this?
doing? That's not the fucking meta, dude.
This is not how you play the game.
This isn't Final Destination 1 stock.
It's 3 stock, no items, Final Destination, dude. What are you doing? Or, like, the people who were like, we're coming in and we're like, oh, yo, can I get next? Can I have 3,000 hours in this game. Can I get next?
Hey, yo, like, I'm gonna wipe the floor with you, but, like, let me.
I broke my GameCube controller at least 3 times doing this. Can I have next?
And, like, those are the people that, like, and it's a very controversial thing for people that like Smash, but in the, like, fighting game community, I don't consider Smash a fighting game. I think that's a party game, and people take it too seriously. and this is coming from, like, I played Street Fighter for a while and, like, was playing ranked in that, but Smash is inherently, like, it's a different game, yes, but I feel like people go into it and are like, oh, well, there's all these characters, like, there's all these mechanics, but I'm like, when you need to use bugs to make it a competitive game, like wave dashing, I don't think it was meant to be a fighting game.
See, how I've
Yeah.
always viewed Smash was boredom. If a lot of people are at a party, it's a great thing to do.
Mhm.
Or it's a perfect drinking game.
I could see that.
Like you do a tournament style and you lose, take a shot.
Oh, yeah.
And, then you go on. Or even Smash Mario Kart, you play Burial Kart.
Yep.
Yeah.
That is some fun stuff.
Talking
Ian,
about drinking.
Ian, though, as someone who has some time into Smash and like your
Yeah.
brothers and you, what are your views on Smash?
Yeah, I was just about to actually talk about that. I think it's kind of the opposite, you know? Like, it's always fun to, like, bring it up at a party casually or make, like, a, you know, drinking game out of it, whatever. But, like, I think it gets incredibly competitive even with, like, you know, average Joes like me. Like, all my brothers, we go ham. Like, we get really competitive. We have friends come over and it's pretty much just like an Iron Man of like who can hold first place consistently, that kind of stuff. I don't know. I mean, you know, Melee specifically, when you were talking about glitches, like that makes sense. Like they kind of found glitches and unintended ways of playing the game in order to make it more competitive. But I think just because of the fact that it's a fighting game with tons of different characters that you can choose from and each one has different abilities and stuff, you can sort of always just be competitive in that regard. Like there's always counterplay, there's always certain people are better on certain stages, that kind of stuff. I think it is naturally competitive. It's just that you know, like in Melee's case, certain glitches were able to bring it up to a higher standard of competitiveness.
So, I will say I've seen a lot more stuff in Smash recently where it's making me realize, like, hey, they do have a lot of cool ideas to it, and in Ultimate, it definitely seems like they made it a lot more viable to play different characters, whereas Melee, it was like, you looked at the
Right.
top 8, and it was like, half of them were Fox, and like, that was it.
Yeah. It's
He picked Fox. I need to counterplay with Fox.
Yeah.
Fox or Falco were pretty much your only like viable options, and then you have like Marth and you know whatever. But yeah,
You get Hungry Box on Jigglypuff.
yeah. I think the newest Smash Bros. Game is probably one of the best in terms of balanced and balance. Yeah.
I could see that. It definitely feels like they aren't as punishing if you're playing someone that's like off meta for the game.
Right. Like in terms of this one, it's more people are viable. Like there's not as many weak low tier characters, not as many high tier characters. It's yeah, it's more balanced.
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
You don't have to actually sit down and think of who you're gonna play and counterplay and everything like that. It's more like I can play who I want and still do probably as well as someone else.
Yeah.
I go in and I play the same 3 characters every time. Doesn't matter who I go against. It's Cloud, Roy,
He's lost already.
and Samus.
I
Cloud-
can.
Yeah. I mean, it is Roy the boy.
Roy's boys.
I used to be so good at Roy, but then my friend destroyed me with Robin, and I'm like,
So like in Street Fighter, it was always a thing where it was like, hey, if you're playing a game like, all right, I'm going to put a hypothetical out there. So, like, in Street Fighter's sense, if it was like, yo, $1 million on the line, one match, who would you play? Almost everyone would be like, I'm playing Ryu. That is the character, like, you have to go for there. Like,
M. Bison.
oh man, I would mop the floor with your M. Bison. I'm just saying, dude. I
Stick
can.
with
I've never
elastic
even
arms.
touched Street Fighter.
I
Yeah,
forgot
I've
the
never played.
Ryan. Who's the
Oh.
guy with the like elastic arms?
Elastic arms, Dawson.
Yeah.
Look, I started off and I was playing Street Fighter 5 a lot, and at the time there was no ranked mode in it. So I was just like, yeah, I'll play as Nikali, which is like super aggressive and everything, and was right at the start of Street Fighter coming out. So it was like, hey, there's 8 characters in this game. You have to learn at least one of them, and everyone else is going to be like playing whoever. And you had, for the most part, the same matchups until I took a break for a while and came back and then got into Akuma. And he fit the playstyle of like hyper aggressive and stuff, and like that's how I've played a lot of games. It's how I learned Fortnite pretty well. But the idea that I have to learn how many characters are there in Smash now? What,
I
like,
don't even know.
I have no idea.
Ian, you got an idea on how many?
Like, I feel like I'm wrong in assuming it, but I think it's like 80.
Like,
would
having
make
to
sense.
learn.
Is that too many? I think that's way too many.
I
would
wanted
make
to
sense.
say 80, and it makes sense
Yeah, I can
when
Google
I
it.
hear that. But, like,
Yeah, you can
Smash,
Google it.
it's like, hey, I have to learn 79 other matchups for me to play. Whereas Street Fighter, when, like, you get in, it's like, hey, there's, like, people have different abilities, yes, but, like, playstyles match up well with, like, certain characters. Like, these characters are going to be charge characters, like Guile, and then it's like Akuma and Nikali are, like, very aggressive, and, like, Ryu's balance, and, like, all that stuff. And that's where I couldn't get into Smash, was having to learn, like, the counters for
Wow.
these characters. How many are there?
There's 74.
74. Okay.
That was pretty
Yeah.
close.
Yeah. So
And there's,
80,
like-
I guess, was a good guess.
There's the new pass coming out that's about to add like 6 or more.
Oh
So
my
like
God.
80 was right. I'd say it.
See, I played Street Fighter every now and then. I play Smash with my siblings. The only fighting game I went hard in was Mortal Kombat.
Mortal Kombat was fun. I only played the story for a while.
I played the story. I played against people online. I played against my friends. I got good with many of the characters. I never really bought the DLC characters because I didn't really fuck with it. I went with my main Sub-Zero, Scorpion, Noob Saibot, the
Yeah.
mains. My favorite one was probably Armageddon because that story was one of my favorites.
So, I'm going to try and swap here. So, because of, like, everything that's been going on, I have gotten into, like, playing games I missed out on, and has anyone else been like, yo, let's get into something that we haven't been playing a lot recently? Connor,
Wizards
you're
101.
shaking your head.
So I had a feeling you were gonna bring this up because I've been getting roasted for this
Oh god.
past week or two.
Damn.
But due to just an increase in boredom, an increase of free time, and an increase of things not being done, I decided to reinvest my time into a game from my youth. And people might be sitting there maybe thinking, oh, RuneScape, he's back into RuneScape. Or no, not RuneScape. I played RuneScape, wasn't that into it. Like, I'll play it again, whatever. Not RuneScape. Some people are thinking Roblox. He's one of them Roblox kids. That's not that weird. People still do that. No. I decided to invest my time into Toontown again. Toontown Rewritten, and I've been roasted for it. I'm gonna still get roasted for it.
Yes, yes, you will, especially by me.
I stand by the fact that if you're looking for a game where you have 0 brain cells, or you come home dead from work and there's like nothing for you to mentally be able to handle, and you just want something to do, Toontown is the perfect game. It's got the kid friendly aesthetic, so you don't have to worry about like, I gotta pay attention. I want to watch this guy's spine get ripped out. You're running around listening to like 30-second MIDI tracks from 2003, throwing pies at robots, or like fishing. I spent so much time fishing that I think I made like $3K just fishing.
So you tried to get me give it a chance, because so Toontown came out and I was heavily into RuneScape at the time. I couldn't afford a WoW subscription, so some reason I would pay for RuneScape. And so I want to start off with, you showed me, what version was it?
We played, when I convinced you to do it, and this was the first mistake, was I had you play the bad one. We all tried it. It was you, me, Nicole, and my brother, and we all sat down and tried to play Toontown Corporate Clash, which, you know, Corporate Clash is its own private server kind of thing, and it takes a lot of stuff from the base game and adds onto it. There's a whole bunch of new additions, a whole bunch of changes, a whole bunch of interesting things that they really went for. And I liked what they tried to add and what they tried to do with it. The issue is their web code is trash, and their latency and everything is really bad, and there's like 20 people.
It was interesting. I don't see why Toontown needs Quake FOV in that game.
Why they even thought to add that like boggles my mind, when you can go up to like, what was it, like 90 or 120
It was
FOV, something like that. Something ridiculous where it's like, you do not need to see this much.
Oh, and then the sprinting, making it even bigger and speeding up the music.
The fact that they had an option under audio settings where when you sprint, it distorts the music and makes it high pitched. That's just a terrible design, period. That's like, you sit there spamming the key and suddenly you got a headache in record time.
Yeah. So
terrifying.
I tried it. I really gave it a like college try there, and like I was on there for, I think, like 2 hours or so.
2 or 3, something like that.
And so I see why you are saying the whole thing about being mindless and everything. And maybe I'm just like really dumb, but I was like getting lost in that, and like I played WoW. Like I raided and everything. So I'm used to it being like, hey, this is a big world. But like I can't find Flippy because I'm like walking around and I'm just like, where do I go? This isn't like making it apparent for me here. Like I mean, think go for it.
Given how it's a game from 2003 that's been revived by a bunch of people, probably in a basement somewhere, it's gonna be scuffed, and I feel like that's part of the charm. And probably given the fact that I played the shit out of that game when I was a kid, like that information stuck. I knew where to go, I knew what to do, I knew where everything was, and if I didn't, I could find it really quickly. But I could definitely see how you, never having played it, jumping in there. It's, where the fuck is this dog? Where the fuck is where the fuck is town hall? How do I get there? What is this?
So when we actually did my first playing of it, you had streamed it.
I did.
And we had a very interesting person that came into the stream while doing it.
Did. While we were playing Corporate Clash, we had someone who was an ex-moderator for the game come into my stream chat and talk to us and tell us what a shit show that was.
Really?
he was going
oh,
on and
man.
on. He was saying that, every day it was a different fight between the developers and like the mod team. Like there was never a moment of rest. It was always constant flux and like fighting happening. And he said that was a mess. He said that the team was kind of self-centered and pompous, and the fact that they were advertising their names and everything all over. And like
Wow.
he generally just said it was not a good time to be a mod on there. And I don't want to go out of my way and try to give any hate to the Corporate Clash team, period, because I could never do what they're doing. I have no talent for anything like that. Maybe this is just this guy's experience with the team. Maybe he joined at a bad time. Maybe he's lying. I'm not going to go out of my way and endorse anything he's saying, but the fact that if any of that's true, that's wild.
It was really cool to like see him and peek behind the curtain of like what was going on in that game.
You always sit down and you wonder, like, this is a fan-made recreation of something. I wonder what the hell this is like. And then to hear it's crazy like that with constant bickering and like ego flaunting and everything like that, that's crazy to me.
So besides Corporate Clash, so like that you said was the bad one.
That's what I would consider the bad version.
So you haven't been playing that.
No.
You've been playing which version?
I've been playing Toontown Rewritten, which, I mean, I feel like a loser just talking about it anyways, but it's literally just, they took the files, they put it back up, and they let the game run as it was intended to be, and they've added bare minimum stuff to it. So it's the game just how you remember it, just like with some slight, like kind of better for the most part kind of changes to it. Like they added 2 different animals you could be, which is interesting.
So, with the Toontown, it's very interesting seeing, and it feels like people are still, like, giving Toontown Rewritten to their kids and stuff to play. Like, they still have those filters in the chat and everything for, like, you can't say, like, you can't be dropping F-bombs in, like, the playground and, like, telling kids to like fuck off and stuff. Like they still keep that.
They still have all the profanity filters. They still have all the parental safety options in case it really is a kid playing it. And that's kind of cool to me, because say some people don't have some money for little Timmy to go out and buy the new Halo or Gears of War or whatever, or they just don't want him to experience that. They got this game that they probably played when they were kids or when they were younger, and they're just slapping down the laptop with the Toontown Rewritten in front of him, and little Timmy's eating it up like it's candy. And he gets to experience the same thing, mom or dad, younger couples obviously, but mom or dad got to experience when they were growing up. Like, I would definitely say that if I was a father, I would slap that game in front of my kid and be like, yeah, son, let's go take down this cog building together.
See, I never once played Toontown when I was a kid, and I never played Club Penguin. I never did like Maple Story. The games I played Wizards 101 with my sister for like 2 years. And what's funny was she lied to me that she made an account because she thought it was stupid. And so when she saw me playing it, she was making fun of me. And then I caught her one day playing. I'm like, you a liar. I played that, and I played Adventure Quest.
Oh, Adventure Quest.
The Flash
God.
staple.
That's a fever dream.
And I got far in that game, and I was just like, what am I doing?
So,
and then immediately switched to like Call of Duty.
I was thinking about this recently, and I will go full, like, back in my day right now. I think how kids have it a lot easier playing free games nowadays with, like, growing up, it was like, oh, you want to play Call of Duty? You gotta pay $60, and, like, there's no way around it. That game didn't go down in price. Like, you want to play, like, a shooter, all right, well, you got like one shooter that's free that you can play. But like now, everything's like free. Like Epic Games is giving out stuff every week. Twitch gives out games every week. Games are like coming out and they're just like, yeah, we're free to play. Like only thing that you buy are cosmetics in this game. Like
Fortnite.
I don't see, like, it's really different experiences where like if you got a game as a kid, like when we were growing up, it was like you were playing that game, like you spent good money on it, and like that's all you were playing for a while.
It's ridiculous to think about just how far video games have come to the point where they can do that, where like Epic can give away 2 AAA titles every other week, in mass bulk to like whoever claims them. Steam is like, oh, you guys want a game for free? Here, like for this limited time, you can grab this game and it's free forever. You can keep it. All these free weekends and everything. It's just like, it's hilarious, but also crazy to think about how when we were growing up, you're sitting there playing RuneScape or Roblox or whatever, like Team Fortress 2 was the go-to game. Like,
Yeah.
this is the free-to-play game. This is all I can afford because I'm an elementary schooler or a middle schooler who doesn't have any kind of steady income, and mom doesn't want to give me her credit card every other day. But then when you finally do get mom's credit card and you go out and you buy that copy of Halo 3, you go out and buy that copy of Call of Duty, you're sitting there and you're playing it, and that's your life. I literally bugged my mom for 2 weeks so I could get this game. I'm sitting down and I'm playing it, and I'm playing the shit out of it.
See
And then-
what? No, continue, Connor.
and then you have kids these days where it's, yeah, I'll pick up the $60 game for free, Epic. Oh, I played 5 minutes of it. I don't really care for it. They're like, oh, let me just go through my Steam library of thousands of games I've snagged for free, and I've only played 30 of them.
Yeah.
What drives me insane was talking about like some games went for free. One of the biggest upsets to me and my wallet was the fact that Destiny 2 went free and it gave the first 2 expansion packs for free after I already bought them. Drove me up the wall. I'm like, I've been a beta tester for Destiny 1 and 2. In Destiny 1, I used to compete for world firsts. I've been on the Destiny bandwagon since day 1.
Yeah.
And I got so screwed.
It's just really different. Like games are always changing. Like battle royales weren't a thing 10 years ago. Like the closest you got was playing like
Free for all.
Yeah, like
DayZ or something.
exactly. And like looking at how games have progressed, where it's like even at like besides like just these games are free and they're like battle royales and stuff, like you're getting single player games with like these that are free, and like they're good games. Like you can pick up like a whole bunch of different ones on Twitch and like Epic, and like I don't know if it's just like me, but like also the whole like idea of games being free, you're seeing more of a shift towards multiplayer games, and single player games aren't going away. They're never going to go away. There's always stories.
I'm happy about that.
Yeah.
I'm huge on just single player games.
But like seeing these kids go into all these multiplayer games and go in and be like, hey, this is a game I'm joining, and like not having to pay to get into it, and then like becoming a part of a community in it where like people are winning like $3 million playing a free game right now. Like it's insane to see that and like that stuff grow.
If I honest to God, if anyone had told me when I was a kid that like video games were going to progress this much, I probably would have believed them, just because video games have always been on the up and up. But to this scale, is what's so surprising about it. The fact that Fortnite can have tournaments where people win millions. Like what? Like a 16-year-old kid
Yeah.
won like 2 million or something crazy. And like the fact that they're able to do things of this scale where they can have a game and run it entirely free to play and have a player base consistently of in the millions.
Like, these player bases are growing at insane rates, and like, you don't meet people nowadays that are like, oh, I don't play games at all. Like, you can talk to like a Karen and be like talking with them, and they're like, oh yeah, I play like whatever like games on my phone, or like, oh yeah, I love Mario Kart and stuff like that. And like, games are just like, they're spreading everywhere. Like, everyone knows about them. Everyone's played something now.
Even if it is just a phone game, like my parents used to have a Sega Genesis before I was born, and they would race home, to play the Terminator game or whatever Sega Genesis game they had. Like they would race each other from work to get home and play it. And then I was born, and for some ungodly reason they threw out the Genesis. So I didn't have
No.
that growing up. So thanks, Mom and Dad. But they got out of gaming, and they just like, I grew up, I got into it, and I tried to teach my mom how to play Halo 3. And I'm sitting there driving around in a Ghost, and she doesn't even know how to move the camera and walk at the same time. And how she was like, oh, well, when we played, it was just, one way. You moved one direction, you came back, there was no having to look around and move cameras or anything like that. But then even she is sitting there playing games on her phone. Like you can, like if she's not doing anything, she's sitting there playing even like games like Bingo or Bejeweled or like Candy Crush on her phone. It's like there's no one or barely anyone who isn't playing some kind of video game.
Parents love Bejeweled clones, and I don't know why.
I'm glad none of my family got obsessed with Candy Crush and shit like that.
Funny story about my mom and Candy Crush. I looked over like really recently, like 2 or 3 days ago. She's on level 1700.
Jesus.
Oh my god.
Yeah, she's on 1700 like 14 or something on Candy Crush.
I didn't even know that game went that high.
Yeah.
It just goes infinite, I guess.
It's really like crazy to me. Like, I've been playing Animal Crossing still, and like, yeah, I'm like slowing down on it and everything. Like, I hop on, do my chores in it each day, and like hop off. But like, I'm sitting there playing it recently, and my mom walks in and is like, yo, like, can I play? And I'm like, what? Like, seeing, it's not just like, oh, everyone's like who's young is playing video games. Like, everyone plays it, and like the stories in these games are on par with like some of the best books and movies and stuff. And like, it's really cool seeing like people that don't normally play games want to get into them and like hear and like experience these.
Or this quarantine has forced somebody who's been a console player their entire lives to finally get a PC build to join his friends because he's been sitting lonely at night.
Dude,
I mean,
you
all I
are
have to
in
say in
for
regards to that, Chris, is it's about damn time.
Okay. You have to understand, broke bitch, penny saving bitch. Do you know how
So-
much it took me to go like, I have to click this to buy this because Ryan already gave me the rest of the stuff.
To go into PC games right now is insane because you are in for like a whole new world of stuff.
Dude, just from setting up the tower today, my right arm has been killing me.
Dude, computers are heavy.
Dude,
And like,
that shit fell on my leg, and I'm like, I had to text my mom just to get a screwdriver because I couldn't get up.
dude, you are in for like, I want to say it's like completely different where like on console, you have, and we talked about it last week, people, like, will just, like, hop on the mic in a party and stuff. And, like, you get that every once in a while on PC, but you're not getting, like, that all the time on there. And, like, it's more like, hey, you find a small community of people that you play games with, and, like, you have a Discord, and, like, you share, like, memes and shit in it, like, you're hanging out and, like, talking and just, like, playing stuff whenever. And, like, I don't, like, that is completely different of how console has always been.
Consoles, typically, you hop in a lobby, you talk shit for a game, and you never see these people again.
Yeah.
And then the off chance that you run into the same person in another lobby, it's, what's up, bitch, round two? You wanted more? You didn't have enough last
See, with
time?
console, I really don't play many multiplayer games. You guys are the only reasons why I pick up multiplayer games. Like, I would never, out of my choice, play Warzone. I picked it up to hang out with you guys. I play single player games. Like, growing up, my favorite games were Jack and Daxter because they're like the most mindless fun
Yeah.
single player games. I played all the God of Wars. You know, I buy Call of Duties for the single player. I don't buy them for the multiplayer.
So, actually, go ahead, Chris. You were going to say something?
I lost my train of thought.
Sorry.
I mean, speaking of Call of Duty single player, Modern Warfare 2 Remastered drops tomorrow.
Does it actually?
It does.
I don't have money.
April 30th. I
I
already
did
bought
not realize that was that soon.
it. Mm-hmm.
I was
April
going to bring up, so I ended up going through playing some games that I had missed out recently, and I played Grease, and that game was a very cool single-player experience, where it's a completely 2D, like, platformer and everything, and, like, music in that game, like, blends with the gameplay really well and stuff, and, like, it made me start thinking about how music in games, like, impact how you play, and, like, I started, like, to think about, like, how when I played Hotline Miami, I was, like, timing my attacks on, like, these Russian mobsters to, like, the, like, Outrun style music, like moons playing in the background, and you're just like going in like guns blazing. But that game was really good that I played recently, and I know you, Connor, and Chris have played something that has been less than ideal in a multiplayer and polished sense.
Oh, fucking Christ.
Talk about the saddest flop of 2020. At least
Talk about
personally.
waste of money, personally.
For now.
I
we have
have-
to preface that.
I was
haven't booted
going
up.
to jump it.
I haven't booted it up since.
So,
Predator Hunting Grounds released a couple days ago.
No.
Released a couple days ago, and
Oh.
looking at the trailers and everything, that game looked fantastic. It looked fun. Asymmetric game where one dude's a predator, 4 dudes are mercs going on a mission, and you got to try to kill the predator or kill the mercs. And the game had potential. The game has potential, but the execution thus far has been pretty shitty.
It's such a crapshoot.
I'm talking shooting a guy directly in the head and the game not registering the first 5 shots before you finally sink that 6th one and he goes down, and what should have been a one-shot kill. I'm talking people posing when they jump.
oh my god, I saw that.
No, the best is whenever you get the mission details and you're trying to read it and just going.
The text jumping on the screen like you're like having a seizure. It's trying to induce one. The game is fun in the sense of it's scuffed as shit. Like, it's not a game you're sitting there being like, oh, these mechanics are beautiful, well polished, a piece of art, truly. It's, haha, men do funny pose when he jump and I shoot alien men in head.
No, the biggest bug I've seen in that game is when you're trying to shoot the predator and he's on a branch, and like he's not even blocked by other branches, and you're just shooting him, and you're just shooting him.
and it's like the little branch particles are exploding in front of him, like he's being shielded by some tree. And you're like, there's
He's just
nothing
holding
there.
up a twig, just like, nah, you can't get me.
And like you're dead, hitting him dead in the chest or dead in the head. And I used the marksman rifle in that game, so like it's an accurate gun. And I'm like, dude, nothing's happening. Nothing's. Oh, I got one hit. Okay, and it just makes him have so much health. What I hated was I was point blank and I had a shotgun pointed at this dude's head. Nothing. I went through a full mag. Nothing.
So
The saddest part for me is the fact that Chris has bought it on PS4. I have it on PC. And we spent a solid 2 hours trying to get multiplayer to work between the two of us, only to realize that they haven't implemented crossplay through parties yet. You have to queue in and hope you get together at the same time. And we sat there trying to figure out how to invite each other just into each other's parties, whatever, and that didn't work. There was like every time Chris was online on the PlayStation, it wouldn't show up for me, even if his account was linked, which it was. But whenever he was on PC, I could invite him, but obviously he can't join because he has it on PlayStation. But I could quick play, and I get matched with only PlayStation people. Or like there's one other PC dude, and then there's only PlayStation people, and I hear some dude hot micing like some kind of Eminem song, and like I can't even just play with my friend. So we're sitting there for a solid hour and a half trying to do the old 1, 2, 3
Countdown.
press play and hope you queue at the same time, and it didn't work, not once.
We did
And
that for 2 days too.
2 days. And then on the flip side, our friend Mark got it on the PC as well, and we're sitting there playing it, and the first couple of games, everything's fine. We're able to party up, we're able to play, whatever. But then something in the net code or something in Mark's Wi-Fi is just not good enough to the point where Mark can join a lobby, but as soon as that game counts down and loads up the mission, it kicks him out every time without fail. So we can get in the party, we could sit there and play the game and queue up, but the second we get in that match, the game's like, and he's gone.
Nah, I don't feel like it today.
Yeah, you seem cool, but I'm regretting this decision, so I will now kick you.
Oh, don't even talk about regretting decisions.
And so
Dude,
at this point, it's become a matter of I play this game when I'm really bored and I'm alone, while I wait for them to hopefully put out a patch that'll allow me to play this game successfully with my friends.
so even the whole idea of like you can play with people on console now, that's real new and is insane.
I love it.
But they need to polish that game because I was going to pick it up.
It has
and
the
try and play
makings
with you.
to such a good game.
It looks very similar to GTFO, or not GTFO. God, what was that game that came out that was very hyped and was
Evolved?
similar idea? Yes, that was going to be like everyone was like, "Oh man, this looks great" and everything, and then was like similar issues where it was like bad netcode, buggy as hell, all this stuff, and it feels like they just like copy and pasted the code for the game and was just like, yeah, throw Predator on it. That will be good.
Let's get the copyright for Predator. People love Predator. Let's just throw a Predator in there. Let's throw money at that.
How much is Predator? Oh, he sounds cheap. Yeah, let's do that.
What I think would be a great thing for this game was give another game mode. So you have the asymmetrics, but then you have another game mode of Alien versus Predator.
Well, then they need to get the rights for Alien.
Are they not both Ridley Scott?
No.
So
Alien vs. Predator did the whole collab couple of movies, but that was a different thing. They're not just all owned by Ridley Scott.
it's
Predator
very interesting seeing how Predator right now, and like I think like it looks like it has potential, but at this point in time, that
It's not
game
worth
does
it.
not look good.
It's not
Where
worth
like
it.
Alien Isolation, like that was a good game off the bat. After they put out bad Alien games, of course, but like seeing how people associate these two characters together a whole lot, and to see how one of them is like, hey, we put the time and effort to make sure this game was like up to our standards, and then the other one's just like, oh yeah, we're gonna put it out.
It
Oh, you
looked
get
kind of
disconnected?
shiny.
Like over and over, I'm seeing a lot more AAA games come out, and they're just like buggy messes.
It honest to God seems like there's either like higher ups pushing out the software monkeys and everyone, they're like cracking the whip and they're like, you work faster, your deadline is 1 week. Like it feels like the games are just either so rushed or there's not the care and love being put in that there used to be. And I definitely feel like it's more of a rushed deadline thing, because I feel like the people who are putting their time and effort into this, they don't want to make something trash. They don't want to make something subpar. You're putting your heart and your soul and your effort into doing this. You're not going to half-ass it and make a shitty game. You're going to
No.
give it your all, and you're going to try to make it the best game so people remember it. So it's definitely got to be some kind of administrator or something being like, I want it out now. I
Yeah.
want
feel like-
money.
I feel like that might also be like hand in hand with the fact that like games are so incredibly increasing in popularity. Companies just want to quickly bring out more and more games just so that they can get some easy cash grabs.
They're trying
then
to
at the
pump
same
out as much as
time-
they can.
Yeah, but then they're just putting them out too quick, and they're just bad, buggy pieces of crap.
It's really interesting seeing that, and then on the flip side, indie games seem to be like, they've grown a ton in popularity, and seeing how like someone can there's tons of games out there now that are made by like 1-2 people and are like hours of playtime in it and like replayability in these without any like issues that are like that glaring, and they have such a smaller budget.
It's really disheartening, to say the least, to see all these games coming out and being flops or being buggy or messy and just not as good as they could be. Because there's so many games that I see with the concepts, and I'm like, I could fall in love with this concept. I could fall in love with this game. I can sit down and see myself playing, hours of this game, days of this game, weeks of this game, so for some of them even. And then it comes out and it's, yay, there's $40 gone. Glad I spent $40 on a shiny tinfoil ball.
There's one game that I've been forcing myself not to buy because I know it's not the whole game, and I know it's going to cost me a shit ton more down the line to keep getting the installments, and that is the beautiful masterpiece.
7.
Yep, the beautiful
Mhm.
masterpiece of Final Fantasy VII Remake.
Mm.
Ryan knows how much I love Final Fantasy. I've played so many different ones of them. Final Fantasy 15 to me was gorgeous because I think it was the first that was not completely turn-based. Because even 12 and 12.2 were somewhat turn-based because you can do auto attacks, but then you picked when you did your specials. And in Final Fantasy, you're attacking and doing your specials at the same time. And Final Fantasy VII Remake branched off of that, doing that, and but they still kept. You could still go back into the old mode of doing turn-based, but the whole reason why I refused to buy this game, and the only videos I've seen were the cheesy, cloud flirting with Tifa because Tifa is waifu. I don't want to buy this game yet because I know it's not the full game. It is up to the Midgard portion ends, and then it just stops. It apparently leaves you off in a huge cliffhanger, and the whole campaign without the side missions, I heard is like 13 to 18 hours, depending on how you play it. And then the side missions make the whole game 40 hours, which is insane because original Final Fantasy VII was 8 hours with all side missions.
Hmm.
But
That's short. Wow.
yeah, the fact that you get a section of the game for $60, and then you have to get the next section for $60, and the section after that for $60.
Final Fantasy VII's remake. Everything I've heard is it's a great game, but I can't bring myself to buy that right now because knowing, like, I'm not going to be able to finish that story right now in a story-driven game just seems crazy to me. And, like, I know everyone, like, who was excited for it was, like, waiting for it for years and years after
Right
they,
here.
like, that announcement came out and, like, people lost their minds. It's, like, one of the announcements where, like, everyone was just like, holy shit, they actually did it. Like, the one other time I feel like I really felt that way was, like, Master Chief Collection coming to PC. I was like, they're finally putting out Halo 3 and, like, all these games on PC. But seeing, like, these games coming out that aren't actually finished, but they're still charging that price tag, it really is like, where was your focus there?
Like, I understand that you have technically 40 hours of content smashed into your game, and it has replayability to go and get everything, do different endings, pick different dialogues. But we didn't want it's a partial game, to say the least. It's not the full game, it's not the full story. Am I still gonna buy it one day? Fuck yeah. Am I gonna buy it on sale? Probably. Because I don't want to shell out $60 for each individual installment for this game.
It's interesting, especially because, so, the remake came out towards the end of the life cycle for these consoles right now. Like, PlayStation 5 is announced, like, Xbox has their new one coming out, Switch is just printing money as needed, and it's really interesting because, like, are they going to put it out on PS4, or are they going to end up being like, hey, this one part of the remaster is going to be on PS4, the other one's going to be on PS5, like...
So I have read about that. They started it on PS4 and they are finishing it on PS4.
Okay.
And then it's going to get ported to PS5.
It's... the whole idea, like, especially with how this pandemic has started, I'm interested in seeing how these new consoles that, like, all these companies were really, like, doubling down on right now are going to be affected by it. Like, there were plans for consoles out this year, and, like, that's still happening, I guess? Like...
I don't. With the lack of E3 and everything, we really won't know unless they do a live stream showing off the new consoles.
It's also really interesting because, do you guys think we are going to continue with this whole idea of everything getting remastered and, like, recreated and, like, new engines and stuff, or just,
Yes
like,
and no.
brought over?
I mean, the issue with that is, at this point in time, and at this point for a while now, the amount of original content coming out has been very slim, because we've been, like, it's been a decade or so where they're just remaking movies. They're not coming up with new movies, original shit. They are. There's definitely new movies coming out, but there's, like, it's mostly remakes. It's, oh, how many times can we remake Halloween? Or just remakes, period. Like, the amount of original content has definitely dropped in number, and that's obviously because of the fact that it's very hard to create something original these days, because you look anywhere and someone's done it. You can create the most backwards, outlandish bullshit, and I'm sure there's definitely a book or something about it already. And that definitely contributes even to video games, where people are sitting down trying to come up with new ideas for video games, and some of them really kick off and some of them really make it great, but then you have remakes of games, and that's probably going to be a trend for infinity at this point. There's never not going to be a time where they're just remaking games.
It is
Connor, I
very
agree
hard
with you.
to come up with something entirely unique and not something someone else already thought of. Like the name of this podcast.
Madhouse Podcast. Who would have thought it's a point of such contention between multiple parties?
We have seen a very funny trend here of us seeing other podcasts with the name.
It's funny too, because we sat down and I think the name was like a split-second recreation. Like, I think Chris had suggested something similar, like the Mad Boys Podcast.
Yeah, to stay in line with your usual Twitch naming.
Yeah, my Twitch name and my in-game name, everything. And I think we had sat down and we were like, yeah, that's a good name. We'll use that. And then the day we were shooting the first episode of the podcast, Ryan's like, what about Madhouse? And I was like, that sounds really cool. We should do that. And so we sat down and we looked it up, and we didn't really see anything at first. We saw like there was an Instagram page run by two girls out in Las Vegas, where they had the handle Madhouse_podcast. Shout out to the two of them. I think it's like Mackenzie and Devin out in Los Angeles. Shout out to them. They had one Instagram post, which was them talking about how to figure out how to work a podcast mic. And I found that really funny. So there's those two who have Madhouse Podcast. There's the Madhouse Podcast, which is, I think, a podcast run by two guitarists from a band where they talk about horror movies and they discuss horror movies and everything like that. And then recently, I think it was like 2 days ago or a couple days ago, there's this random internet group of like 8 different fucking people who all have different various internet followings and post their own content. And they also have the Madhouse Podcast. And we looked it up and I found that video and I sent it to Ryan. I was like, oh shit. Like, should we be concerned? Are we in trouble? Did we do anything? And Ryan was like, no. Like, and I looked at it. I watched the video. I looked up and everything like that. They had a Twitter handle before we did.
Yes.
April 17th, I believe, they had a Twitter handle where it was Madhouse Podcast. And they were like, oh, we might podcast soon. And nothing happened. So we went ahead and we sat down and we recorded. And I think it was like 3 or 4 days after our first episode went out.
Within a week of it, you sent me that link and I was like, yo, what? Like, how is that timing that, like, small that we both ended up with that name? And, like, look, I'm all for it in this idea.
Absolutely. So I feel like within interest of both me and Ryan, that we formally leave out an open invitation to anyone else sharing our podcast handle. That's Madhouse_podcast for the two girls over in LA. That's the Madhouse Podcast of the two, horror movie critic guys. And that's any of the random group of internet boys who share our name and are posting podcast stuff. If any of you guys want to collab.
And the two of us are technically single. The reason why I say technically is a very long story.
But if any of you guys want to collab or talk to us or film an episode together or anything like that, we think it'd be hilarious to do that.
It's such a funny thing to see that happen in such a short period of time, and to then just like, look, I don't know how we should handle it, so may as well just have fun with it and be like, yeah, you know what, anyone who wants on to, like, I think it would be really interesting to talk with some of these people and just be like, so like this both happened. We both came up with this separately, and like that is how, like you were saying, with like all media, everyone has already thought of the idea before, and like, look, I'm all for us having
Any
guests
kind
from
of
others.
collab. And
Yeah.
if any of the other madhouses want to come visit our little madhouse and give a little bit of insight or anything, whatever.
Or we can join them in one of their podcasts.
Or if you want us to join you and you want a couple of boys from Jersey to give our insight on anything, by all means. But that's what's so funny to me is we sat down and we had the talk of like, oh shit, what are we gonna do? And instead of worrying about it or being like, we need to change our name right now, we need to keep individuality, we need to make sure we're important and we're special and we're unique. Our response is we're sitting here like, yo, we got the same name. You guys want to talk about that? You want to collab? And like, push comes to shove, if copyrights come into play, we'll obviously change our name, whatever. It's not that big of a deal. Mm-hmm. But it's hilarious that we have this many brothers and sisters with the same name.
See, Connor, you mentioned that's what's funny to you. What's funny to me is what happened last week. And I think it's finally time for this story. Before Ryan had gotten his girlfriend, apparently I'm the charismatic one of the group, according to everyone, which is weird because, look at me, I'm not attractive. I'm very attractive.
I'd say I'm a good running for that. I'm very charismatic.
And so I'm one of the people in this world that somehow knows everyone everywhere. And so I used to, still currently, it's up in the air, work at a cafe. Madhouse Cafe in Denville. Say my name, you get kicked out or you get free stuff, depending on who treats you. And so I was working with this girl a long time ago. She's very much like us, into anime, into video games, super chill girl. A couple years ago, we had gone out and hanging out. And okay, Ryan and Connor are dying because they were witnessing this story.
Oh yeah, I witnessed it very well.
And so Ryan, Connor, and I were hanging out one night, and I told Ryan, you know what? You said you're having trouble with girls. When I'm in public, I become a different person, and I shed my inhibitions, and basically I view every mistake I make as a story, and this is one of those big stories. So me and this girl, we didn't work out, but we kept close until we stopped talking a couple years ago. But I still had her number in my phone. And so I told Ryan, I have this like perfect girl for you. She's one of my old coworkers, one of my old friends. Let me hit her up.
You were trying to hook a brother up.
Yeah, I was trying to hook a brother up, and I was talking to her for like 2-3 hours, and the whole time asking Ryan, yo, you sure you want me to do this? He goes, yeah, sure. So I legitimately just go like, all right.
I want to put it out there. I was like, yeah, dude, go for it. Because I was like, I have to put 0 effort in on this. And if it works, then I get all the reward. And like, I was like, all right, cool. And then this happened.
And so I texted her saying like, all right, besides like checking up on friends during quarantine, I have an ulterior motive texting you. My buddy Ryan, we were talking. He was basically describing his perfect girl for him, and I'm like, you kind of fit the bill pretty well. I was trying to see if you're interested, and she goes, I'm sorry, but I'm not attracted to guys. And I just dropped.
Dude.
This whole time I was talking to my buddy Ryan.
First one, swing and a miss.
100% whiffed it. I hit a foul ball and caught it immediately out.
Note that this was 3 hours into talking to this girl.
Here's the thing. When I was going out with her, she was attracted to men. and she had said that the switch came recently because she realized she wasn't as attractive to men as she is women, which is 100% fair.
Power
Yeah.
to her. I hope she
Like-
finds a perfect girl.
Like, she's absolute lovely person to hang out with. Huge weeb and otaku like us. Huge video game freak. Best wishes to her. I love the story now because I tried setting Ryan up with a lesbian.
Dude, you did your best with what you knew. And for you to just get that dropped on you, like, I was like, already in that case, I was like, just completely like, all right, whatever happens, cool. If it doesn't work, then whatever. Like, it's not a big deal for me. But for it to be that critical of a failure, like, fucking Ocelot coming in just like, nope, didn't get it. Like,
Did you just make a Metal Gear Solid reference?
yep.
Yes.
I just want to point out that as someone who is sitting there being a witness to all of it, it was the funniest thing to hear Chris talk up this girl and be like, Ryan, I'm gonna get you a girlfriend. You're gonna be in debt to me. You're gonna be
I
thanking.
never said in debt to me.
You're gonna be thanking me for weeks. This is gonna be so funny when this works out. You guys would be perfect together. Oh, she's into women now. Oh God, I'm so sorry. Seeing the transition and being like firsthand witness to this big of a fail. If you're talking like Dungeons and Dragons terms, Chris rolled the biggest of ones on that D20 and fucked everything.
Dude had the biggest crit failure that he could get. But, like, it wasn't a failure. Like, I think it's hilarious hearing it.
It's a
Absolutely.
great story now.
Absolutely, one of the greatest stories.
It's
Which is-
especially funny because, like, it doesn't matter now.
Professor Ian, with your master's degree in simping, how would you rate Christopher's performance?
6 out of 10.
6 out of
6
10.
out of 10.
Is
He's
that
a-
good or bad?
He's a
You
6
know,
out of 10.
it's
simp?
above average.
You're above
so-
average.
I will say we are just over an hour and a half. So I'm going to say we start wrapping up. Ian, how did the puzzle come out? Still working on it?
Okay, can we get a puzzle check?
Yeah, can we get
Yeah.
puzzle cam?
Do you want me to? You want the cam? Okay, let's
Yeah.
do it.
Show us,
Let's get the cam.
because I don't know if we mentioned this or not, but Ian's been working on a puzzle with his girlfriend this entire time.
Yes.
So let's see this puzzle.
Wonderful girlfriend
That's
who's way
wrong.
too good for Ian.
We are not too
Honestly? That's more progress.
However-
That's a big ass puzzle.
far. Yeah.
Okay, y'all
So-
also do puzzles wrong.
Well, we did. Okay, so this is our puzzle. It's like a sea ship, right? Sunken treasure stuff, fish, whales. I'm working on the little the main ship. did
Y'all
the
are doing
treasure.
it so wrong.
Yeah,
Everyone
well, these are
knows-
all our side pieces over here.
Yeah, everyone knows you start with doing the sides first, and then you
Yeah.
work your way in.
Okay, master puzzle smith Chris Saragusa.
All right, I
magic.
expect a update on puzzle performance next week, but I think we're gonna have to end now. So, thank everyone for listening and joining us for the second episode of the Madhouse Podcast. My name is Ryan, and
My name's Connor. You can follow us on Instagram at madhouse.podcast. You can follow us on YouTube, Madhouse Podcast. Subscribe if you want. Give us a like if you're interested and you like what we're doing. Our guests today have been Chris Saragusa, returning for his second time, and Ian Figueroa. And I guess Sam as well, if she wants to say anything, but Sam's there as well.
And if you guys have topics or things you want to hear our opinions on, leave them in comments, and we'll talk about them. You know, open
Absolutely.
up to our community when we get one.
If you guys ever want to hear us talk about anything in particular, just drop it in the comments, hit us up on Instagram, do anything.
Or honestly, if you guys want to submit anonymous questions for advice, you know,
We're going to be an advice podcast. Okay.
I mean, I have apparently been told I'm good at giving advice. You know, you can ask anyone here. I mean, Connor, I've helped you a lot.
I mean, I'm also an unlicensed therapist, so I
Yes.
know the deal. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed listening to all our stupid shit we had to talk about, and see you next time.